Well, hello again everybody. Well, back for the fourth day of the battery charger restoration video, and I've got to say this has been a lot more work than I thought it would be. In fact, I've probably taken engines in, out and rebuilt them in this period, so I don't know why it's taken so long, but I don't know, sometimes these jobs just do, don't they? So it's taken an inconceivable amount of time, longer than I expected to. But don't worry, we're on the home push now, and with your support I'm sure we'll get through it together. Day 4, this is it, finally finished, done, that's it. So in the last video you saw me machining all the parts of this meter assembly. Well, I've gone ahead and I've wired it all up. You can see the current shunt that we talked about on the back there. So that's all been wired up to the meter, and I've checked it working, checked that it's working upstairs in the electronics lab, so that should be good. So this is ready to be installed now, so that's one job we have to do today. And another job that we have to do today is, we saw this mechanical timer that we got before. Now unfortunately the old knob that was on the original timer, it's got a completely different shaft configuration than this new timer has, so unfortunately it won't fit. So we've gone through the hoard and I found this switch here, which, let's see if you can see that. So that's the old knob that was on the battery charger, and this is the new knob, which it's off a similar looking industrial type assembly switch. So I'm hoping that we can use that. Alternatively, if I really hate it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill out the bottom of the old knob. So here's the old mechanical timer, and here's the industrial style switch that we've got. I've got no idea if this will fit. Let's have a look. Is that a similar size? I think it probably is. I think it can be made to work. Oh damn it, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to go back to the hoard, see if we can find another one. Well, I've been going through the knob hoard and nothing quite fits the bill. I was hoping to find something with a pointer on it, and the only thing I found that's got some knobs on it I really like is this old Wheatstone bridge, or I think they call it a portable potentiometer. A lot of people. It's basically, yeah, it's a Wheatstone bridge. It's what people used to use in the past. You could both measure accurate voltages and resistance with it, and they have a really beautiful damped movement inside them, and I think a lot of them also, I think this one also has a reference cell battery in it as well. So I was thinking about stealing one of the knobs off this because they have little pointers on, but oh, what a beautiful silky smooth action. You can bet there's some real black art switching magic going inside there. So it seems a bit of a shame to spoil this, even though it's been sat on my box of bits. I think I paid something like £1 for this because nobody wants them. They're totally useless, but they do look very pretty. So no, I think we'll save that for another day, but I just thought I'd show it you as soon as it was in the hoard. I kind of was really hoping that we'd find one that had this kind of profile, but I don't think we're going to do it. Now these knobs are actually going to be too wide, but maybe we can find a particularly nasty looking one. That one looks a bit grim, doesn't it? Maybe I can take that off, which will reduce its size. Hopefully that will screw on. Should we try that? Actually, maybe one thing I could do is maybe I could cut this dial off and, well, take this dial off like I am doing, and maybe reshape it into a pointer, because it would be quite nice to have a pointer on this thing, wouldn't it, so we know what time we've got selected. Let's just take this off for now and see if the knob will go on. I wasn't quite expecting that. It's a two-parter. Okay, gonna have to put them screws back in, aren't we? Now unfortunately I can't actually change the knob on the selector switch because it has a different type of fitting. The one on the selector switch screws on for the top, unfortunately, so I don't think it will be any good, so we can't change these as a pair. Well, I suppose we could try and take it off and see if the shaft fits, couldn't we? We could give that a try. You know what, I'm still not sure about that. I know, plan B. Like I bought one. So I think while we've got this on the ground, we'll just go ahead and we'll drill the holes to retain the meter as well. Well, you know, many years ago I was doing a job a little bit like that. I was trying to hold a panel and drill through it, and I managed to get my thumb in the wrong place and drill a hole through it, which was uncomfortable. But strangely enough, my dad, when he was young, he drilled a hole through his thumb as well, so that's a bit of a family tradition, eh? So here's a back plate that we made that's got the current shunt installed on it, and that goes inside. And I'm only going to put some of the screws in loosely because I'm not sure I'm going to have to take it apart to actually put the connections into the meter. Not sure if I'll be able to do that or not, so I'm just putting a few screws in loosely. Take two, let's have another go and do them again. Obviously not done this before, always a little bit of problems assembling things for the first time. So I think I've got to have them trailing out the back like that. I think we're going to have to get the bezel on. It'll just stay there, hopefully. Purple wire, which is one side of our current shunt, and then this orange wire is the other side of the current shunt. And I'm desperately hoping I've got this meter the right way around in the enclosure, because I could have it, you know, 180 out. Last one, is that going to line up? Something like that, I think. Okay, that seems to have gone together okay. Here my chicken's clucking away in the background, and I can tell one of them's just laid an egg because it's singing the egg song. If any of you keep chickens, you'll know what I mean by the egg song. When chickens lay eggs, they have a little song that they sing, and that one is singing its egg song. Which I don't know if it's just relief at having passed such a huge object out of its backside, or it's actually just showing off. I don't know. Could be either, or maybe a combination of the two. I can also tell, because I recognise the egg song, that that chicken is called Olga, and she's a Russian Orlov, which has laid that egg. She's a very noisy bird. I want to try and get this as tight as I can, really, because I want a really good connection and a very low resistance path. Because if we have got any resistance, that will show up as a volt drop, which will in turn produce heat. V squared over R and all that lot. In my head, when I put these wire markers on, I had orange for orange was for out, and I put a purple one there which I thought was indigo for in, and orange for out. Well, that works in my head anyway. So the only wire we've got left to connect now is this positive wire, which well, not sure where we're going to connect that. Well, I've decided to go ahead and fit a fuse because that does seem like the most sensible approach to take. I'm sure that by the end of this charger is going to be a lot safer and a better built than it was when it was originally manufactured. But I suppose that's only to be expected with modern equipment. Hopefully that's got it. Okay, there she blows. Well, the only thing left to connect now is this timer. I think that should be okay now. Hopefully that won't rub against the top cover. I think it'll be okay. Right, are you ready to give it a quick test? Because I think I am. Put this switch on. So our meter's working. It's saying we've got 8.8 volts at, what's that, 1.4 amps on there. Now in theory, if we turn this knob, the voltage should probably increase. The bulb's certainly getting brighter. And as we said before, the reason the voltage reading is a little bit low is because we're actually just looking at a lot of ripple voltage. We're not looking at there's no smoothing on it. We did discuss putting a capacitor in, but I decided against it because it's another thing to go wrong, and I think it'll read correctly once we connect a battery to it. Setting 1, setting 2, setting 3, setting 4, setting 5. I think setting 5 should be on the timer, so with a bit of luck if we turn the timer that should come on again. Which it does. Oh, there we go. Well, I don't think there's a whole lot left to do, but one thing I'm really not happy with is this connector here on the positive crocodile clip. So I want to go ahead and try to remake that, because that's certainly useless, isn't it? So you can just cut the old wire off. The main problem with this is I haven't got anything to, ooh, that's some heat damage, that's been getting hot. I haven't got anything to, a tool that will re-crimp this, so I'm not sure what to do about that. Oh, that really is in a bad way. I think I might have some spare crocodile clips that I bought for another project in the past, so that's in such a state. Let me see if I can find them. Well, I went ahead and I found those replacement clips in the hard, and I've got to admit, I don't particularly like them. I'm not sure. Should we use them? Should we keep the originals? A lot to be said for keeping it original, isn't there? I was trying to think if the spring tension's better or worse. The original ones actually feel okay in terms of that. So I think they'd probably clean up. Let's see if we can keep it original. Keep these, because I don't think they're particularly good ones. In fact, they're fairly cheap and nasty. If I was going to go to the trouble of replacing them with new ones, I think I would get some decent ones, because these are poo. So I actually think the thing to do would be to try to grab a little bit of the sheath, the outer covering in that part of the metalwork, and then try to crush the other part down to grab the copper. And I'm wondering if there's even enough there to kind of double it over. I think there might be. I think that's what I'm going to try and do. But before I put that in there, let's get that as clean and lovely as we can do. It's a surreptitious art of the vice. Well, I've gone ahead and I've crimped the plastic part of the sheath of the cable, And I think I want to try and get something engaged in this copper now. And now I'd like to crush that down, and I'd like to do it a little bit like a crimp and put an indent into it. I wonder if I could, a bolt, I could sacrifice a bolt to it. Well, I think it has, I think it's done something. If we keep this charger, we're going to have to see if we can find a better pair of clips. As I say, I did have a new set, but the new set that I bought are equally kind of feeble and yeah, rubbish. I'm sure you remember when I cleaned the front panel on this battery charger, a lot of the lettering just wiped off, and I wasn't using solvent or anything. It was just a, you know, a foam cleanser, but it all came off anyway, and I think part of it came off because it's all rusty underneath and the plastic coating's just falling off it. So I've gone ahead and just using AutoCAD, I've just drawn up a new kind of legend plate, and I'm going to have a go at gluing it on with Yoo-Hoo glue. Kind of hoping that Yoo-Hoo doesn't eat its way through this sheeting material. Oh, I'm going to tuck that under the edge there. He said, come on, where's it gone? Can't find the hole. Okay, that's one side done. That's okay. Ooh, it's like a bought one, that. So it looks like there's a bit of just natural kind of dead zone in this timer switch, so yeah, it's a bit how you're doing. Well, I've just gone ahead and I've just taken one of these wheels off so I can remove this bar, because the bottom of the tin cover's really dented here. I don't think it should be curved like that, so I'm going to bash it straight again. And finally, I think we're about ready to put the cover back on it and give it a proper test. But before I do that, I just thought I'd better go and polish my shaft. So it looks like this shaft has taken quite a lot of abuse over the years, and I can see it's got a ring stuck on the end of it. So I think what we'll do is, before we use it again, we've just got to take off this circlip. Just to make this job that little bit more fiddly, I can see that one of the ears, I don't know if you call it an ear, but one of the things with a hole in it there, your circlip plies would fit to actually spread the circlip apart. It's broken off, so you can't use a pair of normal circlip plies to remove it. Okay, that came off easy enough. So as you can see, I've given the outer case a bit of a clean, and what I decided to do with it is, well, the first thing I thought, let's strip all the paint off and repaint it in a nice red colour. But as I started to remove the paint, I thought, well, that's a bit of a shame, because if I do that, I'm going to remove and I'm going to destroy all its heritage in the patina. And I quite liked it. I thought, well, it's not a new charger, it's an old thing. You know, it's got a few turns on the coil, as you'd probably say, and it would be a shame just to lose all that history. So what I did was I decided to emphasise it, if you like. So what I've actually done with it, I have rubbed it down with like a very fine abrasive pad, just to try to key the old paint. And in some areas where the paint was actually flaking off, I've actually ground it away and pulled it off. And in some areas like this, what I actually did was I cleaned up the metal using an abrasive disc, and then I sprayed it with some black spray, and the black spray gets in all the little rust pits and all the chips, it gets under it, and then basically while the black paint is still wet, you just wipe it off as much as you can, let it dry, it only takes a few minutes, and then lightly sand it down again. And it actually emphasises all the damage and the imperfections of the surface, and it makes it stand out like a wood grain. And you can see, well, I'm hoping you can see, it's given quite a nice textured finish. And once you've done that, once you've got that textured finish, of course it's still going to go rusty again. So what I did then, using a spray can, I decided to clear coat it, and all that is, it's just using acrylic lacquer out of a spray can, and I put 3 coats on it, and that's all I've done. We could actually get a much better sheen on here if we wanted to. If we put some wax polish on here now and buffed it up, this would come up even better. But at the end of the day, I've got this to use it, you know, it's not a work of art, it's just something to use, but I quite like that. I'm sure you remember that this charger had wheels on it when it came, and I'm going to put them back on in a minute, but it also had a handle at the top of it, and again all the paint had come off that, and that was in such a state, and it was a fairly small piece of metal, so I went away and I cleaned this back to bare metal, and this has had a coat of rust killing paint onto it and then a top coat of black. So let's go ahead and reinstall this. Just held on with some self-tapping screws. I think that just went in there like that. And hopefully I'm going to have the right size self-tapping screws. Yep, they feel like they're going in. Not super tight. Is that going to grip? Oh yeah, it is. Job's a good one. So I've just noticed it comes with this handy little hole in its bottom, which makes it perfect to mice to crawl inside and live, and I don't really want that, so I've got some little rubber butt plugs for it, so let's see if we can find one and stick it in. Is that one it? Is that one a bit small? Will it go bigger? Yeah, I think that's alright. Keep the mice out. So I've just realised I forgot to put on our ground strap for this back cover, and I do think that's important. I think before I reinstall my shaft, I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on it to help stop it going rusty. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slide my greasy shaft into this hole. So this is a complete version of a C-clip that I mentioned earlier, and one of the ears had broken off the other one. So this is the tool that you use, and basically it just opens it up. So all you've got to do is you put it on your tool like that, you squeeze the handle, and I'm going to spread its legs and slide it over my greasy shaft. These do have a habit of pinging off and then disappearing across the garage somewhere. Hopefully we can avoid that. Yep, I think that's in there. So you all just sat there laughing, didn't you, while I installed this handle the wrong way around? Oops. Oh, I've just noticed this plug's got a bit of damage on it, so I'm going to replace that with a nice black rubber industrial one. Well, I don't know about you, but I think a nicely wired plug is a thing of beauty. So I've gone ahead and I've connected the crocodile leads to the positive and negative on the battery of my Chevy truck. Well, we've not even plugged it in yet, and the meter's actually lit up and it's displaying the voltage. So there we go, 12.54 volts across our battery. So now let's plug our charger in and try and charge it. Well, I've plugged in the battery charger and switched it on, and I've gone for level 2, and it's actually drawing 4.5 amps. Hopefully you can see that on the meter. So the battery's pulling 4.5 amps, but it is dropping all the time, 4.2 now, 4.1. Well, I suspect the battery on my truck could be a little bit flat because every time I go out in it, it breaks down and I never get very far, and I spend an awful lot of time cranking it over trying to get it started again. So I'm going to have a cup of tea, go away and come back, and hopefully that'll be nearer to 13.8 and the charge current should have dropped. Well, I've just been inside for a cup of tea and I left the charger to squirt some amps into the old girl, and I left it charging away at this setting too. So of course we can actually go a little bit less if we want. So that's putting 1 amp into it now. This is where we had it setting to. That's putting in 3.7 amps. And of course we can go all the way to setting 5, which I don't dare do. But we will go just to setting 3. And that's charge current's jumped up to, I said it jumped up to 6 amps. It went up to 6 amps initially and now it's at 4.5. But our voltage here is 14.9 volts, which to me seems quite high. So I'm going to put that down again. So we started off at our farm auction and we bought this battery charger for the price of £1 and we spent £15 for this digital ammeter, and we spent another £15 on this mechanical time switch here. So all in all we're about £31 in. Well, actually there's a little bit more. What else did we spend money on? I bought some clear coat paint and I think I bought a couple of tins of that, so that's £5. So all in all maybe we're getting up to the £40 mark. Well, I think to buy these battery chargers new, I think they're anywhere between £250 and £300. But having said that, I probably wouldn't have bought one new in the first place. But all in all, it's been quite an enjoyable project, even if it did take considerably longer than I estimated. You know what, I'm going to try sneaking this into the bedroom tonight. You never know, it may even get the wife started in the morning. Of course, no instructions. This is the end. Let's get a dress off. Beautiful friend. Well, it looks like our fuse blew. And the way that this transformer's flopping around.